Hello everyone, I'm Chris Parker with ParkerPhotographic.com, and I'm here to help you elevate your photographic skills. And today I'm going to show you 10 camera settings you should set for your new Nikon Z8. So if you're ready, let's do it. Now, as you know, when you buy a new lens, not only do you get one, but two lens caps to protect the glass on either side. And your camera body also has a cap to protect your sensor. The only problem is when you're going to switch lenses, that sensor is not protected. However, if you take a look inside of your menu options, inside of your new Nikon Z8, and if you go to the camera settings here with that little wrench icon and scroll down to sensor shield behavior at power off, go ahead and select sensor shield closes. This way, when your camera is off, that shield is in the up position or that closed position, and that protects your sensor. So anytime you're switching lenses, make sure the camera is turned off to have that protection for the sensor. All right, so the second camera setting you should change is the date that is currently set for your Nikon Z8, which isn't going to match today. I think mine was actually March or April, which was about 2 months ago. So make sure you go into your menu and set your date accordingly. All right, now for the third camera setting, let's set your image quality. So do you prefer shooting in RAW or JPEG? Now personally, I prefer RAW, and you can find your image settings via the top option, and then scroll down to image quality, and then you'll see your options are RAW plus JPEG with different compression options, as well as JPEG only. And then we have our RAW right here in the middle. So once you select that, you may want to consider your RAW recording size as well, or the compression, I should say, if you are going to shoot with RAW. So in RAW recording, we have 3 compression options. So lossless compression has 0 compression. High efficiency with the star has a little bit of compression, and then high efficiency has more compression. And if you click on this little info button right here, it's going to give you some more information about the compression options. All right, so number 4 includes 2 camera settings. And that's because both of these will affect how your Nikon Z8 renders colors and more. We're first going to take a look at your picture control options, and these will have a bigger impact if you shoot JPEG files, but if you shoot RAW files like I do, you can change these settings in Lightroom or your preferred editing software. Now, I prefer to get it right in camera, and I like to use neutral versus the default setting, which I believe is auto. Now the question is, what is a profile? Well, I could spend an hour going over everything you need to know about profiles, but for now, let's keep it simple. So profiles are a type of preset designed to optimize things like brightness, contrast, clarity, and saturation for different shooting scenarios. So if you shoot in JPEG, these profiles are baked into your file. You can't change it after the fact. So if you do shoot JPEG, I recommend learning more about them, and for a video tutorial on this, let me know in the comments below. For now, for both JPEG and RAW files, I'd set it to neutral since that provides a better starting point for editing afterwards. The next color setting is known as the color space. Again, we could spend hours on this subject. For now, your 2 options are sRGB and AdobeRGB. Now, I like to use AdobeRGB since it will capture more colors compared to sRGB, and AdobeRGB is ideal if you like to have photographic prints made. If the majority of your images are only posted online, then sRGB is the better option for you. Now, if you do both posting online and printing photos like I do, I'd still go with AdobeRGB. Just keep in mind that when you export for online use, you'll want to select sRGB since that is the better option for web viewing. Now, if you're confused still and would like more information, let me know in the comments and I'll create a new color space video tutorial for you. All right, so our 5th camera setting, you are going to love this. I know I do. especially if you're upgrading from a Z6 or a 7 series, and that is adjusting the color of the focus point display. So in my Z6, as you can see, I have the red rectangle focus point set, and it stays that color whether or not the image is in focus. So I have no idea if I've focused on the image properly, or the subject in this case. But in the Nikon Z8, that color will change to green when in focus. I love this. It's so helpful knowing whether or not my subject is in focus. And to set this up, you're gonna go into the pencil, over to focus, and scroll down to A11. All right, number 6. Now, I've noticed when I started shooting with the Nikon Z8 for the first time, there was a little bit of a lag in the viewfinder, and it kind of threw me off a little bit. And that's due to the electronic viewfinder, which we don't have in a DSLR. And you can reduce that lag by changing the default of 60 frames per second to 120. And this option is located in the pencil section under shooting and display. And you're gonna scroll down to D19, hit your OK button, and that will turn it on. Now, there is a concern that this is going to drain your battery faster, but I'm going to have this turned on for the battery tests I'll be doing soon, and we'll see if it makes any difference. All right, so for number 7, this is for those of us that like to do long exposures. That could be landscapes, astrophotography, or even portraits or weddings if you want to try something new and creative and you want to blur the action. So you're going to want to expand your slow shutter speed options if you like these slower shutter speeds. Now, by default, 30 seconds is the slowest shutter speed available. However, if you go into your menu and down to D5, you can turn on the extended shutter speeds to go beyond 30 seconds. And this will now give you additional options from 60 to 90 to 120, all the way up to 900 seconds, which is 15 minutes. So go ahead and check that out. Now, as you may or may not know, with the mirrorless camera, the sensor is the same size as a roll of 35mm film, which is why they're also known as full frame cameras. A DSLR consists of a sensor that is smaller than film, and these are referred to as crop sensors. But you can still shoot in crop mode with your Nikon Z8, which will give you the best of both worlds. Oftentimes, with wildlife or even weddings, if the subject is far away, I'll shoot in DX or crop mode. So I'm not capturing pixels that I'll end up cropping in Lightroom anyways. Plus, it makes the file sizes smaller. Now, the problem with switching to DX mode is sometimes I forget that I'm in that mode and I'll shoot in that cropped mode when I really wanted the full frame. Well, there's a setting in your Nikon Z8 that will give you a warning that you're in DX mode. So you're gonna go into the camera section, down to image area, select DX crop alert, and hit your OK button. Now, the DX indicator icon located in the top right is now blinking to let you know you're in that mode. All right, so for number 9, by default, auto ISO is turned on, and if you shoot in manual mode and wish to control the ISO, then you may want to turn this off. However, I recommend using auto ISO and use it myself. And if you do want to make a change to any of these other default options, you can do that. The first being is the maximum ISO you allow your Nikon Z8 to set for you. Personally, I'm not really concerned about 25,600 with Lightroom's new Denoise AI and Topaz Photo AI noise reduction because they both do a really good job in removing noise. However, you can lower this to your preference. Now, you may also want to change the default settings when using flash and the minimum shutter speed. All right, number 10. Now, if you're in a situation like a wildlife photographer and or if you shoot weddings and you don't want to disturb your subjects, you can alter the sound that the shutter makes when creating photos, or if you just find the fake clicking sound to be annoying like I do, you can turn off the sound completely. Now, the question I have, and many of you do as well, is how many images can you get out of your battery when it's fully charged, and should you buy the external battery grip? Those answers and more will be revealed in this video tutorial, so watch that next.